Alright guys, welcome back to another video with Work-Life Unbalanced. Today I'm going to be talking to you about how I spent 10 years of my life coaching in the fitness industry to scale a team so we hit 30k a month recurring, and I'm going to talk to you about how it's not easy to do so, but it is possible. Now, a lot of gurus out there and business mentors that have never built the business themselves, but they built the business selling you on how to build the business that they never did. They will tell you that it's absolutely easy and it's possible for everyone. I'm going to break down the reality behind what it was like running a business like this, and why it is definitely not as easy as they make it out to be, and the real metrics behind it, the actual profit you're left over with, especially when you try to scale and reinvest that money as well into different channels for acquiring new clients. So I'm going to walk you through, I'm going to break it down into 3 steps, okay? So the 3 steps are going to be, and by the way, this video, if you've not seen a video like this before, this type of video is going to be very much like a breakdown on the mechanics behind the business. I'm going to be giving you real stories of what it was like running PB Academy, and I'm going to be talking to you about the actual facts we went through at different stages, real stories, not making any of this up, just real metrics, and you can take from that what you want. You know, you're going to learn a lot from it. If you're running a coaching business, a service-based business, you're going to understand the different channels to acquire different clients. But anyway, just sit back. If you're not in a position to watch this right now, it's going to be a longer form video, a chilled video. Make sure you either save it for watch later, like it, or just download it if you can do that if you're on premium, unless you're using the other YouTube with all the ads taking up your time. So anyway, 3 steps I'm going to break this down into, okay? So the model, first of all. So when you're looking at a business, first of all, of how you're trying to set this up, you need to look at the model behind the scenes, the actual mechanics of the business, and easily I'm going to split this into sales and delivery, and as you can see, this is a very attractive model. It's a very attractive model if you're starting out, if you're a solopreneur. You don't need many people even to scale to 30k a month. You don't need many people actually in the business with you, so it's a very nice business to run. Personally, I wouldn't call it a business, and I know this is going to really annoy people a lot and rub people off the wrong way. I would say it's more of a very high paying job, right? And I'll tell you why. Because the way I would define a real business or a company, I suppose, is something that can be sold and it's exitable. And unless you change your service model into something that has got multiple different components of delivery that's not just done by one single person, then you don't create a lot of risk with that individual then. So it can eventually be something that is sold and acquired. But I'm going off on a tangent now. So it's a very, very attractive model, and the most important thing that you're going to get from doing this, right, is not going to be the money. It's not going to be the 30k a month, and I know to a lot of you now that's probably like an insanely high goal. Let's just say 10k a month. The money itself is not going to be the biggest reward you're going to get. The biggest reward you're going to get is running a successful business, is actually knowing how to acquire clients, how to deliver, all the different aspects of running a business is you're going to be taught whilst going through the process. It's the best business lessons you're ever going to get. There's going to be a lot of painful ones, but hopefully you can avoid a lot of this by, you know, all the information that's out there today, and we try and do our best with that on this channel. It's directed at me 10 years ago. I wish I had a channel like this so I could learn a lot of the mistakes before I actually made them. So anyway, sales and delivery. So I'm going to try and do this while still talking to you, if I can do it like that, right? So I'm going to split it into just 2 different parts. We've got sales and delivery. First of all, with the sales process, all I'm talking about there is acquiring new clients, right? So you're basically talking about marketing and sales. So what are the channels you're actually going to use to actually get clients? Now, most fitness coaches, I'm just going to talk about my business. Now, what we did was we used organic social media. It was free. I didn't have the money at all to invest into things like this. So we done a lot of things through just consistently posting on social media, not trying to go viral, but playing the game strategically. So we had a very strategic plan for the people that did follow us. So the people that did follow us, they became problem aware. They obviously followed us for that reason. They then became solution aware. We talked a lot about the coaching practices that we did. They then became product aware, so they knew exactly what the service was we offered. And then after that point, then they were just ready to work with us. And then we really incentivized them with a great offer, which you can get a link to below to build your own offer. And we gave them a really a massive promotional video that just gave us an influx of leads, and we run these 2 huge campaigns twice a year. And the biggest one we ever did was the summer challenge. We actually cash collected 42k in that month, in just 30 days, and that was probably the biggest launch we did. So that was giving away tickets for people to go to Marbella when they won the challenge. It was a competition between themselves just to create the best before and after picture. So it wasn't against anyone else. It was just who could create the best transformation. We had a big event at the end of it, community event. So we built up a great community on social media and a great audience on social media, and that was what our main channel was without us even really realizing it. Even in the early days when I didn't really understand business all too well, I didn't really get that point. But just to break it down anyway to sales and delivery, if you think about it, from a delivery perspective, to deliver this thing, if we compare it to a product is going to have a hard cost, meaning it's going to cost you money to deliver. So people starting off in e-com, they're going to need money to invest into creating a product, or even buying, let's say, t-shirts. If you're going to buy t-shirts, then you're going to spend maybe £10 per t-shirt. Let's say you batch order 100 of those t-shirts, then my maths is terrible. It's going to be like £1,000 to get all those t-shirts in, right? And then you sell them at maybe £30. So you're going to create a profit, but the initial cost is going to bury you in the ground. And that's why most people couldn't start a business before. Now, a service-based business is based off your time. And when you're broke, when you're starting off, your time is abundant. Your time is the least valuable thing about you, and every pound is the most valuable thing that you want. It becomes the opposite. The more you play the game of business and the wealthier you get, your time becomes the most valuable thing, and the money itself is something you actually pay to delegate to get more time back. Now, with this part here, this is why it's so attractive as a starting business, because you've got all the time in the world. You can offer it to people and you can charge for your time, and that's basically what you're doing. But to get more money for your time, you don't charge for your time specifically. You don't say, I'll coach you in-person PT for £25 a session or £30 a session. What you say is, you offer people a transformation program. It could be £600 for 12 weeks. They get the result. They're paying for the result, and then you're delivering that service. And what people didn't realize is when you've got your coaching systems on lock, so your delivery systems on lock, when it comes down to fitness coaching, I started this game when there was no software out there. There was nothing that would help coaches actually coach. I built everything through PDFs and through emails, email coaching people back in the day. So that was in early 2016, and it still delivered results. And I was not charging a lot at that point because I was very young. I was literally 16, 17 starting this. But what I can tell you is that is going to be the most amount of money you're going to get for your time. If you charge it that way, instead of charging per hour and you charge them for a result, people value the result far more than they do your time, because they compare your time to minimum wage if you're living in the UK, and they're thinking, why the hell are you worth that much? So that's what they're paying for, and that's why the delivery about this is so good, because with delivery systems on lock, you can literally get it down to you're spending maybe 15 minutes per check-in maximum, right? Sometimes it's less than that, but let's say you're spending £15 per check-in. You're doing weekly check-ins with these fitness coaches. That means that for an hour per month, you're charging now £200. If it's a 12-week program, you're doing £600. You do the math, then you're literally making £200 per hour. So it's a very big jump compared to PT, and that's why it's so attractive as well. But now it opens up your time and your calendar to be able to take on so many more clients. And I would say the healthiest point was about 80 clients. For me personally, when it was just me coaching and I was doing everything else, I was able to literally work on the essentials. If I only wanted to do that and I didn't want to scale, I could have probably got away with working maybe 4 hours per day. And I was living that 4-hour day dream. Like I was having, at that point, maybe like 10K a month on average, making all that money myself. And then when we scaled above 100 clients, I got to that point myself as well, where I was hitting 20K a month, just me doing it. And maybe I had a few, I think I had 2 VAs at the time, which were very cheap labor. So it was a very, very attractive business. And that's what I'm saying. You're only selling your time. And that's why I call it a high paying job as well. Because if I don't do the work, it's not going to keep going. It's not going to keep running as a business. So that's why I say that, right? So don't get annoyed when I say it's not a business. But if you stop, then it stops. So anyway, sales and delivery, just to tick off that box there. The delivery side of it is insanely attractive because it's just your time putting in the work, doing something you're passionate about, something you love, delivering results for the people. Okay? And then the sales side of it, what you may not know is it seems free, but again, it's not free. It's based on your time. So you're doing the content, you're attracting people through social media, you're being consistent. If you stop that as well, your business stops, your leads stop. And if you don't have the right messaging, if people don't like you, if you're not likable to the audience that are watching you, that you're attracting, and if they don't trust you, then they're not going to buy from you. So leads will be slow. So I do think looking back, that was one thing that really did play into my favor. I was not trying to be anyone else. I was just being myself. Like the majority of it all was me documenting my journey, building my following, building my audience, specifically through Instagram and YouTube. And it was on a different channel to this. So that was probably the thing that I overlooked the most when looking back, is people really followed my journey. I was competitive in bodybuilding naturally, and then I transitioned into not natural, and that was 3 or 4 years ago now. I stopped doing that, but I was all in on that, documenting the journey, and outside of that I was helping people. We were building our gym as well, so that was a different business, and that was probably the biggest leverage I had and why people trusted me so much, because I was just so authentic with what I was doing, my passion, my purpose, like my mission for all of it as well. You couldn't see through anything, because I was just being me. I was just documenting everything. I wanted to help people. I was just so passionate about it, driven by passion, and people could see through that. So they knew that is what I stood for. They wanted to be involved. They wanted to be around people like that. A lot of the time when it comes to fitness coaching, not only do people want the expertise, but they just want to be around someone that can lead them. They want to be around someone that influences them positively. And I think that is what I delivered a lot as well, is just creating that community where everyone was just pushing each other, and it was a great place to be. So just to tick off that there, so just so you understand, what I'm saying is, when you're looking at a coaching business, any coaching business, it's great for when you're first starting out, because you're talking about something you're passionate about, more than likely. If you've already built some sort of an audience, or even a small audience, then it's going to work for you really well if people trust you. That's our business, by the way, now, SocialProof. We built a software tool for coaches to increase that trust, inject that trust into their viewers, so they convert their viewers into customers online. You can check that link below. The way we do it is just by plastering all of your proof, your results, your screenshots of positive wins, as well as your offer, your VSL at the top, to just convert people to the next step. It's much better than sending them just to a Linktree, Calendly, or application form. So if you're doing that, it would be worth checking that out, just so you can see the difference. But moving on, this is what I want to talk about, okay? So the actual channels itself, and this is what I'm going to break down with you in the data tracking side of things. So I'm a massive data guy. I don't like to make decisions based on emotion. I'm not very emotional at all. My emotions are pretty suppressed, probably since everything I went through with bodybuilding. But data is what I like to rely on. I like to see numbers. I like to see facts. I like to see projections. I like to see metrics at every single stage in the funnel. And that's what I want to talk to you about here, okay? Through social media. There are the core four. If you know Alex Hormozi, he talks about this a lot. I'm going to butcher it if I haven't got his leads book with me. I've got his offers book, which I showed last time. But his leads book, I can't remember what the core four were, but let me try and remember it, right? So this is annoying because I want to keep talking to you. So if we go like this, we go core four. So you've got social media, which is free, basically. Then you've got paid advertising. Then you've got affiliates. And then you've got outreach. Okay, yeah, so I'm pretty sure it is. If it's not, then it'll be some sort of change in the way I've worded it, right? I'm pretty excited about this. I think I've had too much caffeine. So these four are the four ways you're going to get lead. So when you look at it, let's look at, first of all, does it cost you time or money? Because you can ask yourself, what have I got more of? Have I got more money? Have I got more time? Okay. Now, I want to give you a story of, actually, no, I'll explain this first. So I just told you, that I mainly built the business organically through social media, and then it was word of mouth. So word of mouth was, in a way, an affiliate scheme, okay? Because it was basically a way where I had people that had such a great service, such great results from my service, that they told their friends. And their friends were already trusted. So they trust their friends' opinion. They were like, yeah, you've got to jump on this too. They sold the service for me. They were like little affiliates going out and telling other people to join this service. So that was basically working in the background without me having an affiliate scheme in place. And social media was where I organically actually did this. The other thing I did do as well was outreach. Okay. Now, when I wanted to scale this up, this is again something that is technically free if it's done off your own time, but I delegated this part where I brought in VAs. I didn't like the way the VAs were doing it because they didn't speak insanely good English and people could see through it that it wasn't really me, and I didn't want people pretending. So then I actually had them announcing that they were just my assistant and they weren't pretending to be me. So that was more authentic and I felt better about that, but then that didn't work too well. So then I brought someone in-house to, again, not pretend to be me, but to speak a lot more. He was local. He was a great guy, Johan. He's a good friend of mine still. So we worked well together though, and he worked really well, and he actually earned a decent amount of money as well. So while he was doing it, he became a little salesman in there. So yeah, he worked out basically setting calls for me to take, and I was jumping on all the sales calls. I've done a video on sales as well, if you want to watch that one out. So we were doing basically 3 of these, right? And the last one was paid ads. And I was looking at this, especially when Alex Hormozi really put this out there. And I was like, right, okay, so the business is reliant on me for a few reasons. So social media organically, I'm still pulling in all of these leads for basically the coaches. We had a team of coaches delivering everything. And that was a big problem for me, because I was like, how do I make this a sellable business? Now, I wasn't as educated back then as I am now with everything that we've been through. So fitness coaching as a whole, if you look at the LTV, so if we look at the 2 different metrics, and this is going to be important as well. So here you've got LTV, and here we're going to put CAC, okay? So LTV, just to break this down, lifetime value, right? Lifetime value of a customer. What is one customer actually worth to you? So how much do they bring you? And on average for us, right, it's actually a nice number. It was £1,000. So one customer for us on average was £1,000. Now, how do we work this out? It's basically the monthly amount of your program is how it depends on how you charge it, based on how many months they stay with you before they churn out and they leave. Now, with fitness coaching, the average in the fitness industry is 3 months for most people, probably because they sell 12-week programs and people just drop off after that. Now, we sold something different. So we had different packages depending on the people's goals. So on every sales call, we had different packages we knew about. I haven't talked about my pricing model yet, but we had that in place. And what happened is, obviously when they were working with other coaches that they didn't have as much of a connection with, the LTV does drop, okay? But we built our average LTV up with our service, with everything we had in place to really, quality control that people were delivering a good service. We built it up to about 5 to 6 months average. It was basically 5.5 months was our average LTV. Now, I've been working with people, my longest client is 7 years, right? Which is crazy. Literally since I was email coaching, and she's from Europe. Now, the other few long-standing clients I've had with me as well have been about 2 to 3 years. So you can have a much better LTV when it's just yourself, being passionate, delivering the service to people. Your LTV can be a lot higher. Now, we scale to 250 plus active clients. So what happens naturally is people are realizing that this is just a service. Yes, it's delivering the results to them, but they don't build as deep of a connection with that person, like one-to-one relationship. And that was a big problem. So that's why our LTV wasn't as high as it could be. Not great for a business. What that basically means is, as an average, right? Let's say our average LTV was 5.5 months. So if we put it here, this is where you're going to think this is crazy. So when I say 250 active clients, we had to replace 250 new clients every 5.5 months. That's not a great business, right? A good business is a sticky business, a business where you sell a client. Think of a phone contract, and they are basically going to stay with you forever. Think of energy companies, stuff like that. They want you to basically hook you in, and then you stuck with them forever. They don't have to then spend to acquire more customers. Every customer they get, they basically stays with you for life. That's a great business. An accountancy firm, that's another great business. Basically, what happens with accountancy firms is that if you do a good job, they stay with you until that business either goes bust or you do a really terrible job on their accounts, okay? So with this, is very different. They achieve the goal, they're ready to move on, unless they've built up a connection with you or they've got an insanely long-term goal. In bodybuilding, that can happen as well. Bodybuilding coaches tend to have a much higher LTV because they're planning phases and phases ahead, and the customer understands, the client understands that it's going to take maybe years to achieve that goal. So that's a better model as well. Now the CAC, right? Very hard for people to actually work this out themselves, because as you can see, social media, you think it's free, but technically it's not. If you were to value your time now based on everything you've got going on, and you were to look at how much money am I spending on this? Am I doing the editing or have I outsourced it? Am I doing the posting and social media management or have I outsourced it? You've got to factor all that money in and work out your CAC for each channel. So these are 4 different channels, and you've got to work out your CAC, and then you've got a blended CAC, which is, if I haven't said, cost to acquire a customer. Yeah. So you've got to work out what your blended CAC is, but more importantly, what's your main channel for acquiring people? Our main channel was social media, so I'm going to keep this very easy. And realistically, on paper, it was technically 0, right? now that sounds too good to be true, because if it's zero, you're just like, well, do more of that then. But that was the problem. We can't really do more of it because then it costs you so much time, and then you realize, oh, there is a cost to this. There is a hard cost to this. So realistically, if we were spending, let's say we were spending maybe £1,000 per month if we were spending about £1,000 per month on videographers and editors and stuff like that to actually do it, and I was still manually posting, I'm not going to factor my time into it because I was running the business. I'm not thinking about it. And then you divide that by how many clients you actually get per month, which is 50. So again, I'm not going to do maths live on YouTube because then people are going to think that I'm really, really stupid. So if I actually do 1,000, this is easy math as well, but I'm on the spot, so my brain's not thinking. So 1,000, that's like 20 quid, right? CAC, which seems fantastic, like unbelievable. But again, it's just not scalable. Like it really isn't a scalable solution, because you work that out. There's like, oh, that sounds fantastic. It only takes us 20 quid to get one customer. But the problems with this as well, and why Hormozi has a lot of different ways of breaking this down, is this is LTV over the 5.5 months. So it takes me 5.5 months to get that money. If people actually spend, they only pay for the first month up front, that means they only get £200 on the first go, basically, as they sign up. Now you can use Klarna, which is fantastic, to actually give you the £600 up front if they actually join on a 3-month minimum, which is what we did. So we would get that money up front. Klarna literally prints money for you. I'm going to make a video about that. I don't think the buy now, pay laters are going to last very long, so make the most of that before it goes bust, because they're losing millions every single year. So anyway, that's how much you would get with Klarna. You'd get that money. So that makes it a little bit more attractive as a business. But right now, let's say you're spending that 20 quid, right, on this social media channel, but it's not something you can control, right? If you put more posts out organically, yes, it's going to drive more views, but that views will then start to come from your cold audience. It'll start to come from new viewers, new people that don't know you, and they take months and months and months to convert. On average, they take 6 to 9 months to actually convert people, like a viewer, into a customer, because it's literally, there's a massive trust gap in that channel, and that's why I'm going to talk about that a little bit more depth with the data when I show you that. But you'll learn a lot from that. You'll understand it, right? So that's why this has got the biggest problem, because it's not a lever we can actually pull. So here's the story. Like, what did I think? I was like, right, if I want to make this a real business, something that doesn't really heavily rely on me as much as it does right now, that I don't have to take to social media every day, talk on my stories live, I don't have to do a live webinar once a week, I'm doing all of these things. How can I actually make it a business that runs without me? The outreach is technically being delegated. That's working well. People are working through there. So the affiliate scheme, that is something that I don't have enough money to work for. I can't run that as a scheme, because if I start giving people money, then it takes our profit down massively. Bearing in mind, you've got coaching delivery costs in there, and it's really, really not attractive as a business. So just to give you an example, most service businesses that are actually successful at scale, they run off 90% gross profit, meaning on a service-based business, whatever they're selling, if they're selling £1,000 on average, that means £900 of that goes to the business. And in terms of service delivery, only 10% would actually go there. Now, for fitness coaching, because it's not a real business, and it technically at scale, it doesn't work. The only businesses that tend to work really well at scale and still make it profitable, and trust me, I've spoke in these close circles to the best business mentors in the game, the ones that are ranked the highest. I've worked with a few of them. I've been close enough in network events to speak to a few of them, and they've known me prior as well. So we've had like really good open conversations about it, and honest conversations. And what they've told me, and I'm not going to name names, but they've said to me, the harsh truth of the fitness coaching world is, if you don't have thousands of followers, so you haven't gone viral a lot of times on social media, you haven't struck luck with basically building a big brand on social media that people actually follow and trust you to pay for advice from. So if you haven't got 100k, 200k plus, you're not going to build out a massive team of coaches and delegate yourself out of the business and make it a real business because you haven't got the lead flow, okay? Because I was looking at this last quarter, this little puzzle here, right? Paid advertising. So you see this all the time. Now, you may look at it and you may see all the ads pop up and you may think, this must be working because everyone's doing it. So many people that are doing and running these ads are just trying because they think it's the way and it's not profitable for them. It's not working for them. There are a handful when they're selling big enough products. So the business mentors that are running the ads that then tell you to run the ads, they are working. They're working for them because their LTV per customer is minimum 5,000 to 10,000 to 15,000 pounds. That's what they're getting in return. So they can afford a CAC, right? If you look at this route here of paid ads, they can afford a CAC of 300 to 500 per customer. All right. So that they can afford to spend 300 to 500 pounds minimum per customer to get someone that pays them maybe whatever it's going to be. Like if you're looking at maybe £5,000, £10,000, would you pay someone £500 to get £10,000 in return? 100%. It's a no-brainer. That's why the business model works. And that's when paid advertising does work. Now, I spent over 15 grand on agencies alone to teach me this stuff, right? And I also then spent a monthly advertising budget, 2 to 3 grand per month, burning money to learn a hard lesson through PB Academy, because I was trying to get our CAC down to 150. If I could have got my CAC down to 150, I would have been happy with that. And I would have said, as a model, if you look at the business, right, our coaches were basically getting 50%. So horrendous business model, right? Because like I just said, gross profit, they would be, as a business, if you want to scale it, you basically need to keep 90%, 80% at worst. Yeah. So out of the £1,000 you get, you need to keep £800 for all the other costs involved in a business. Now, we had to already give away the biggest chunk because to attract fitness coaches, because the fee for coaching is so small for a business, it's to consumers. They're not going to spend a lot of money. And worst of all, to consumers, they think that's a lot of money. They think £200 is a lot of money because it is a lot of money to the individual, not to the business owner. So that was our problem. We were giving away immediately 40 to 50% of our money to the coach to deliver the service, right? And that was the deal at the end of the day. So that was what we agreed upon, and that is the basic market rate. People that end up spending more than that, which we've actually moved to now because we want to just make sure our coaches get a great living for it. We're not looking to just scale it up anymore like we were doing before. We were trying to scale this business, so we needed the money to reinvest, and we were reinvesting it into this channel here to get even bigger, okay? And what we were doing with this channel is we were trying our best to get it down to 150 per customer, and we couldn't do it. I tried absolutely everything with paid advertising, and for this business, we've figured out different ways of running things for the other businesses we've got now, and it does work. Of course, you can get your CAC down to a price that actually makes sense, that makes it profitable to run that channel. But for fitness coaching, it was so dominated by these guys because these guys are targeting the same people pretty much. They're popping up on the same people's feeds, the people that are interested in fitness, and that's how Meta runs their ads. It's all basically run by AI now as well in terms of the targeting. So we really struggled. We couldn't get it down low enough. We'd spent a lot of money doing it, and we realized, right, okay, this is not a scalable business. We can run these channels still. We can make it work. We can hold at this figure here. And that was the biggest problem for us, to be honest. Like, that was the decision we made, is we were like, do we continue to push everything to try and scale and burn all our money trying to scale at this thing, or do we just look at the reality here? And the other big problem, that wasn't the biggest problem. It was when we scaled as well to have different individuals delivering that service. With a one-to-one service, people aren't as happy. Like, for example, people are following me on social media. They come and apply with me through PB Academy. They want to work with me. Now, obviously, I had a tier at that point where people could work with me individually, but when I would then send them to work with different individuals, because that was the team member delivering the service, I would 100%, the biggest lesson I could tell you is make sure if you're setting up a coaching business, you have different elements of the business. Let's say easy split, nutrition training. have someone, a coach, training that person on nutrition. Have a different coach training them on training. That will work a little bit better at scale, because then you prevent the loyalties becoming with the service delivery member rather than the business itself, and recognizing that it's the business that's actually operating everything behind the scenes. So that is one lesson I would tell you as well. So definitely think about that. Okay, the last thing I want to run you through is the data tracking. So I actually want to break down the full funnel for you. So just to give you a picture of a funnel, first of all, this is what we've got. You might have seen this before. So on top, we've actually got social media. Okay, so this is where we have organic. We're going to talk about this channel, organic social media. At this point of the funnel, so this is the top of funnel stuff. There's so many different layers and different qualification metrics that people have to go through to become. I don't know if you can see that at the bottom. You can't. Where can you see? You can see that one. Let's just go to here. So to become a client, there's so many different hoops, right? And I'm not going to write each one of them down, but quickly, what you've got is first of all, the click-through rate, where they actually click your link in bio. Now, please, I'm telling you this, you need to check this out. If you're still using Linktree application forms or Calendly links or even WhatsApp links in your bio, you're losing so much money. 97% of people that click that link are not ready to buy. So if you want to convert more followers into followers, go below, check out SocialProof page. You'll understand why that converts a lot higher. So the click-through rate, then you've got people that view that page and actually then take action. So they click through, they become a lead. So they become a lead. Then how qualified is that lead? Are they qualified? So there's a qualified to lead ratio. And then you've got the qualified lead to book call. My God, my handwriting is terrible. Book call. And then you've got show up rate, and then you've got close rate. There's a few more metrics in there as well that we track. And then you've got obviously new sales, new clients. Now, I obsessed over the metrics. I had to, because I was testing out different channels. And what you find is when you move to paid advertising, it's a colder audience. So all of these metrics completely change per channel as well. Show up rates absolutely tank when you go to cold audiences. Qualified lead to book call tanks as well. So these are things you need to pay attention to. Okay. Now the best leads you're ever going to get are going to be referrals. So my focus for you, if you're watching this and you're probably thinking, oh my God, I've just been told it's not a business, it's hard to scale, it doesn't get to a level where I can sell the business, why am I doing all this work? This is a fantastic learning business and to print money for something you might want to try in future, either to create the life you want, be successful with your family, have a great, extremely high paying business / job for yourself. Don't take offense, right? That is what it will do for you, and it is unbelievable for that. You get your time, you get your location freedom, you get to work from anywhere. You do get to live the dream with this business when you get on lock. Biggest focus, deliver great results for people. Deliver insane results for people, deliver a great service, get people talking word of mouth, become your affiliate army for you. Your clients will become your affiliate army. Create that community so you can incentivize them potentially with a referral incentive as well, / affiliate stream. Outreach, it does work. As much as you hate it and you don't want to sell cold DMs, if people do not know you exist, they cannot buy from you. So stop with your ego of saying, I don't do outreach, I don't do advertising, I don't do sales. You are doing it whether you like it or not. It's a business behind the scenes. So outreach is something you need to focus on, but give value first. The best thing I ever did was I created a massive page. I put together hundreds and hundreds of PDFs. We literally have got, I probably exaggerate with 100. We probably got about 60 to 100, genuinely, different PDFs we created as lead magnets, but just giving insane amounts of value, and it would always give them a CTA to take the next step if they wanted to. We would just hand these out like flyers on a street. If you were in a city centre, you see people hand out flyers. That's what we would do. We would give people something that we knew they wanted, and they would get value from it immediately, and they would be very happy with that. So focus on the outreach method and making sure you're not going to come across as just an annoying person starting a conversation. And then social media, organically. You have to build a personal brand. I hate to say the word because all the gurus are pushing it, but you have to build a presence online where people trust you, they want to work with you, and they understand that you are just doing this for whatever purpose is your mission. You have to make that clear, because otherwise people are always these days very skeptical. We're living in a trust pandemic online, so you need to make sure that your mission is very clear with why you're doing this, right? And then the other thing as well is, I think that's it for those channels. Paid advertising, it's a no-go for that price point, in my opinion. Okay, yes, you can set up these low ticket funnels that upsell into different things, but unless you've got an abundance of money already and you're successful, you don't need to be looking at this channel. Lesson from me, I wouldn't try and scale it through paid advertising anyway. So if this is the channel you're going to rely on for your business at this price point for fitness coaching, I really wouldn't do it. I would actually double down. In hindsight, I would use that money to double down on potentially going viral, creating a larger organic social media following. That's probably what I would do if I had that chance again. But I'm glad I did it because I learned that lesson and I wouldn't be here today otherwise. So yeah, painful as it is. Now, I want to just do a fancy transition here where I'm going to go straight into this funnel, show you the behind the scenes metrics of what we actually track so you can compare this with your views. And if you're interested in me, I will personally do this for you because I've got 23 subscribers as of now for this video on YouTube and no one comments on my video. So if you're interested at all in getting your business analyzed with your metrics, all you need to do is comment below the amount of views you get per month on social media. Let's say Instagram over the last 30 days. What did the views that you got? Comment below that number and maybe whatever you're comfortable with putting out there that I can get in contact with you, or I'll put my WhatsApp number below and you can message me that number maybe. I don't know. Comment it below. I'll send you my number. You can message me from there. But 3, 2, 1. All right, guys. So I'm going to walk you through now these metrics, right? And I don't want to bombard you with so much information that you're going to be like, information overload. What the hell is going on here? So this is what we use at SocialProof to analyze the different metrics. So these are the different points in the funnel that I just talked to you about. And just to show you, this here that you can see right now is the service business funnel, and these are the key metrics that you need to be focused on. So right now what you're doing is, this is the 6 to 9 month post, wait and hope strategy. The slow trust gap funnel that you're probably running without realizing it is taking 6 to 9 months to actually convert new followers, new viewers into customers. Now this is why they click your link on social media, they go, if they're thinking about taking action, they see your link tree, there's information overload, decision fatigue, Calendly, there's no more information about your service or anything like that, no results, no proof, and then an application form, a type form, anything like that, no proof, nothing at all, nothing that's going to make them, you know, jump off the edge. So only 3% of those viewers will take action, and those are the leads you're already getting right now. The 97% do not take action. So they go back to consideration, they wait to be convinced through more content, they look for more results or testimonials, they search for proof on your feed, they apply but they're unsure, maybe 5 to 7 months down the line. Eventually they might apply and book a call. Now, in reality, they probably get swept up by competitors in that time frame, and that's why you don't get as many leads as you think you should. So it's not a time for you to think, oh, I just need more leads, so what I need to do is get more views, because the views you've already got, they're just not converting. All right. So you running paid ads, as we've explained, is not going to be a good idea. You running or hoping to go viral on social media is not going to be a good idea. Of course, you can keep trying that, but it's not something you can control and use as a lever. Now, this is why we created a SocialProof page to convert at a much higher rate, which I'm going to go through now. And then it takes them to the next step after they've gone through basically a checkpoint, which gives them everything they need to know about your service, the results, the testimonials, the proof, and then they are ready to jump off that fence. And instead of being 97% of people bounce off, it's obviously a much lower number and a much higher number that converts. So anyway, it would just sit there just like everything else in your bio. So let's go through this now. So you might be running paid ads, like we said, that's got a hard cost to it. Now, we're not going to be doing that organically. We're going to be talking about today. Now, just based off a average amount of views per 30 days, let's say you're getting around this number, these are the metrics you need to be thinking about. So monthly organic impressions, we're saying 14,000. Now, view to link click-through rate. Average is 4.7%. So if you look it up, the average right now in 2025 is 4.7% of views eventually click that link. That means this is your monthly unique visitor traffic, your weekly visitor traffic we're looking at here. Then as you go down, the next barrier, the next rate is going to be your unique visitor to opt-in conversion rate. Market average is 2 to 4%. We're going to be a little bit optimistic and say 4% here. Now, at this point, you're now left with monthly opt-ins of 26 leads per month. That means you get weekly opt-ins of 7. That's about 1 per day. Now, they are not all qualified. So you get a lot of time wasters. You get a lot of people that are not fit for your service. So your qualified lead rate is about 60%. That would be a target, but that would be done through your content. You can increase that through pulling the lever on your content, making it more specific. But right now we're saying a bit more realistic of 40%. So that means the monthly qualified leads you get are 11, weekly 3, and you don't get daily. Okay. Then you're looking at the qualified leads to booked call conversion rate. So how many people that actually come through as a qualified lead, but they don't take action. So how many actually do take action and book that call with you? Let's say 6% to be really realistic. Target would be 80% to make sure they actually take action. Monthly book calls, 6. Weekly book calls, 2. All right. And then we're looking at the show up rate. So 80% would be a target for organic, right? I can't make that clear enough. For a paid ad channel, then you're looking at about 50 to 60%. Obviously, we can increase that, and I'm probably going to bring out a video on increasing show up rates. But for now, let's just be realistic. 80% for organic and be optimistic, I suppose. So monthly showing calls needed, 5. So weekly, about 1 per week, just over 1 per week. Now, close rate blended, I'm going to assume that even though this is your organic channel, and for organic your conversion rate should be a lot higher, but let's say you've got the pricing on point as well, so you pushed your prices up. Let's say the close rate blended is 40%, so monthly onboards about 2. So realistically, you're looking here, if your LTV is about 4, your LTV is about, in value, is about £800 after a 200 monthly price point. Total revenue added this month is about this much, and your new clients is going to be about 2. So if those numbers are at all similar to what you're doing right now, and all the numbers you need to check is, right, am I getting roughly 14,000 views per 30 days? If I'm a lot higher, then my sales should be a lot higher. And then for that number, am I getting about 2 clients per month? Now, if your numbers are below that, then you've got a serious problem elsewhere. If your numbers are similar to that, you're pretty much on average, and there's a very big fix that you can do right now, and that's what I wanted to show you. So SocialProof, this CTR is about 20% on average. That's what we're seeing right now, but we're being conservative. We're saying 15%. All right. So that's one change. Now, Alex Hormozi, I like to quote him a lot because he's a genius in this world. He's a genius in our lifetime when it comes to service businesses as well. Now, the market average, he says, focused on your biggest constraint, right? The theory of constraints, focus on the biggest one, and the further up the funnel, so lower down obviously has a smaller impact, but further up the funnel has a much bigger impact. So the smaller the change, further up the funnel is going to have a bigger impact than a big change at the bottom of the funnel. So here, what we're looking at now is the unique visitor. So people that click your link, right? The people that have actually clicked your link, the traffic here, and then how many of those actually opt in? So how many of them actually convert? As we've said, pretty much 97% on average, that's why it's between 2 to 4%, actually bounce off, whereas 3% take action. Now that's the average, so we're saying 4% for you at this point here. With a SocialProof page, you can very quickly bump that up to maybe 15%. Now this is being conservative. Like I said, average we're seeing right now is 20%, but if you bump that up to 15%, this is the impact it has on your business immediately. Your monthly sales quadruples. From whatever your number was, it would quadruple just by making that change at this point in the funnel. So if you want to find out if it's possible for you to quadruple your business just from one tool, and all you need to do for this tool is upload your proof, your testimonials, your results, and it builds the page with AI for you, ready to put into your link in bio, ready to convert new viewers into customers online. So I hope that helps. The biggest thing I wanted to give you value from here is just showing you the metrics you need to be tracking. If you're running a service business, you need to be tracking these numbers. You need to be paying attention to these metrics. If you're not doing that, then you're just guessing on what needs to be improved. So do this for the social media channel. If you want to access this, like I said, just comment below with your social media views over the last 30 days and I will run the numbers for you. I can send this over to you. So hopefully this helps. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this educational video. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit more in depth. It's a longer video, but I really do hope that it helps you. It will help you as a service business. If you're not already tracking these numbers, it will definitely help you. So yeah, I hope you took some value from it. And if you want, no one's going to comment anyway. I haven't got many subscribers. So if you want to comment anything about what you liked, what style do you like, what you want to see more of, that would help me out. But either way, I'm going to keep blasting these social media posts and no one's watching them. So enjoy.